Learning to be alone is a profound journey, especially within the context of Buddhism. In a world that often values constant connectivity and social interaction, Buddhism offers a unique perspective, one that sees solitude not as isolation or loneliness, but as a path to self-discovery, peace, and spiritual growth. Let's explore how Buddhism teaches us to embrace being alone, transforming solitude into a wellspring of inner strength and wisdom. At the heart of the Buddha's teachings lies the understanding that suffering is an inherent part of human existence. Our attachments to people, to things, to fleeting emotions can become the source of much of our suffering. By learning to be alone, we begin to see these attachments for what they are: impermanent and sometimes even illusory. In solitude, we are offered the chance to observe our minds without external distractions, to see clearly the patterns that keep us tethered to suffering. Buddhist monks and nuns, from the earliest days of the tradition, have practiced periods of retreat and seclusion. In ancient times, the Buddha himself would withdraw to forests or quiet places to meditate, encouraging his disciples to do the same. These periods of solitude were not escapes from society, but opportunities to deepen their understanding of themselves and the nature of reality. One of the key practices in Buddhism that supports learning to be alone is mindfulness meditation. When we meditate, we turn our attention inward. We observe our thoughts, feelings, and sensations as they arise and pass away. At first, sitting alone with our minds can be uncomfortable. We may notice a restlessness, a longing to reach for our phones, to check in with others, to distract ourselves. But as we persist, we begin to see that we are not our thoughts or emotions. We are the awareness behind them, the stillness in which they come and go. Solitude in Buddhism is not about rejecting the world or other people. Rather, it's about cultivating a sense of contentment and completeness within ourselves. The Buddha taught that the root of much suffering is the belief that we are incomplete, that we need something or someone outside ourselves to make us whole. Through solitude, we learn to rest in our own presence, to find peace in simply being. A powerful teaching in Buddhism that relates to being alone is the concept of dependent origination. This principle states that all things arise in dependence upon other things. Nothing exists in isolation. Everything is interdependent. Yet, paradoxically, understanding this interconnectedness allows us to be alone without feeling lonely. When we recognize that we are part of the tapestry of life, we no longer fear solitude. We understand that being alone does not mean being separate. In Buddhist philosophy, there is also the teaching of non-self, or anatta. This teaching invites us to look deeply at the sense of self we carry. When we are alone, the ego often protests. It wants validation, recognition, and connection. But as we practice being alone, we start to see that the self is not a fixed entity. It is a collection of experiences, memories, and habits. This realization can be both liberating and unsettling. Yet, with time, it brings a sense of freedom, the freedom to be at ease with oneself without needing constant affirmation from others. Buddhist stories and parables often highlight the value of solitude. One famous story tells of a monk who lived in the mountains for many years. When asked why he chose such a solitary life, he replied, "In solitude, I learned to listen to the true voice within. I learned to see things as they are, not as I wish them to be." His words echo the Buddhist understanding that solitude is fertile ground for insight and compassion to grow. But learning to be alone doesn't mean we shut ourselves off from the world. Buddhism encourages us to find a balance, a middle way. Too much isolation can lead to stagnation, just as constant socializing can lead to distraction. The goal is to cultivate a sense of inner solitude even when we are surrounded by others. This is sometimes called the solitude of the heart. It is the ability to remain calm, centered, and at peace no matter what is happening around us. To practice being alone in a Buddhist way, one might start with small acts of solitude. Set aside a few minutes each day to sit quietly without any distractions. Notice what arises in your mind. Do you feel anxious, bored, or uneasy? Simply observe these feelings without judgment. Over time, increase the length of these periods. Perhaps take a walk in nature, eat a meal in silence, or spend an afternoon reading or reflecting. These simple acts can help us become comfortable with our own company. Buddhist teachings also remind us to approach ourselves with loving kindness. The practice of metta, or loving kindness meditation, can be especially helpful when learning to be alone. We begin by offering kind wishes to ourselves. May I be happy. May I be safe. May I be at ease. As we repeat these phrases, we soften the harshness of our inner critic and create a sense of warmth and acceptance within. Eventually, as we grow more comfortable with solitude, we begin to see its gifts. In the quiet, our creativity blossoms, our intuition becomes clearer. We develop a deeper understanding of who we are and what matters to us. We realize that we are enough, just as we are. Buddhism teaches that true freedom comes from within. By learning to be alone, we free ourselves from the need for external validation. We discover a wellspring of peace that cannot be shaken by the ups and downs of life. And from this place of inner strength, we are able to connect with others more authentically, with less neediness and more compassion. In the end, learning to be alone in Buddhism is about coming home to ourselves. It is about discovering the quiet joy that lives at the center of our being, a joy that is not dependent on circumstances or other people. It is about realizing that, in the deepest sense, we are never truly alone. We are always connected to the world around us, to all living beings, and to the boundless wisdom and compassion that is our true nature. So, as you walk the path of solitude, remember, being alone is not a punishment or a burden. It is an opportunity. It is a doorway to freedom, to insight, and to a profound sense of peace. Embrace it with an open heart, and let it guide you to the deepest truths of your own existence. If you found these insights helpful, consider sharing them with others who might benefit from a deeper understanding of solitude and Buddhist wisdom. Liking and subscribing helps us continue to explore meaningful topics, bringing you more content that inspires growth and reflection. Your support not only spreads positivity, but also builds a community of mindful individuals seeking balance and inner peace. Stay connected for more explorations into philosophy, mindfulness, and the art of living well.